Welcome to the episode of the BizDev series where we dig into the marketing and engagement pipelines of your operating system. But before we open up the demo, I want to talk about the purpose and the philosophy of these pipelines. And it all starts with the work that you make. Remember, the video campaigns that you make for clients are the products of your company. And like any business, you should talk about the features of the products that you make. And I'm not talking about just sharing a spot when it's done or a couple of case studies every year. I'm talking about regular weekly kind of content that demonstrates your company's work and your process and your personality in much smaller, more specific chunks. So to do this, whenever you're about to take on some client work, take the time to consider the how, the why, and the intention of the work you're making. Think about in advance how the work you might do for a client might attract a future client, for instance. Let people into your process. Let them get to know your company beyond a repost of a finished spot that says, "We loved working with blah, blah, blah." It's tired. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't say enough. So think about your future marketing and engagement in advance of production, during production, and definitely after production, because that's what you're going to share with the world to attract the clients that need you. And for the company owners who say, "I'm not sure what my voice is or what to talk about," or everything has already been said. I hear this a lot. And the way you're going to overcome this challenge is by letting your work guide your voice. Well, that and the BizDev therapy episode I did a little bit ago where I challenge you to find your expertise. And a side note, if you haven't seen that episode yet in the beginning of the series, go back and watch it after this, because that's where I talk more about narrowing in your ideal client profile to match your greatest strengths and your expertise, which makes it so much easier to talk about your work because you know who you're talking to and you know what they need to hear and how that fits what you just made. See how this all works together? All of this should be the primary source of your marketing and engagement. And yes, there are other things that you can talk about too. And yes, there are lots of other ways to meet clients, like attending trade shows, going to events, hosting events, or taking sales trips to New York and LA on a regular basis. Those are great. But talking about your work is the easiest and most effective way you can attract clients to you. And it can all be done with just a modest level of effort and minimal cost. So, in my opinion, there's just no better return on investment than doing some basic level of company marketing so that people who might need your services can see you. And by the way, the type of marketing I'm talking about here, it might include a few things, simple things, I know easier said than done, but important ones. A newsletter, which is really the gold standard of doing your own marketing because it meets people where they already are in their inbox and it keeps them top of mind and it gives you a direct line into as many ideal clients as you can find. And it's your audience. You own it. You can grow it, and it's not tied to any platform. Ideally, you'll be sending a newsletter out once a month if you can, and in that you should just express some kind of mix of content that just feels genuine to your brand. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be that whole mix, but just remember, less is more, and let the visuals and the work speak louder than the explanations, although you need the explanations too. It's a nice balance of show and tell. And every team I've ever worked with that does a newsletter has benefited from it financially. So if you're not doing one, that should be your first order of business. By the way, it also serves as an inventory of content that can fuel other marketing, like content on your website, for instance. Because having fresh content on your website, like a blog or a news section, it gives you a great opportunity to talk about company updates, new hires, team publicity, events, behind the scenes moments, culture, recognition, and of course, the work itself. It's kind of nice because the content here also serves a little more opportunity to turn the lens back on your company with a personal filter, which is fine to do on your website, but it's not something I would overdo on platforms like LinkedIn. And speaking of LinkedIn, if you're not posting there, you should. It's no longer just a resume placeholder. It is the main platform for business and marketing. And it's the one place on the internet where you can talk about business and money without guilt. In fact, it's the expectation. So don't think of LinkedIn as a social media platform. Think of it as a business networking platform and use it that way. And I promise if you put some effort to train it by engaging it with your people, it will start to, feed, your algorithm will feed you more relevant content in return. It takes a little while, but it works. And who knows, maybe you might actually start to like it. No guarantees. But even if you hate it, even if you hate LinkedIn, the takeaway here that I want you to have is, I'm sorry, but get over it and get on it. Because at this point, it's an expectation of doing business, and quite honestly, it looks suspicious if you're not there, particularly in B2B. Which leads me to another thing here about the mysterious marketing approach that some companies try to pull off. The hard to get vibe where you share little to no web, presence or explanation of who you are and your work. Yes, that can be a great strategy, and I'm sure all of us can point to examples of where that works well. But if you're going that route, you better be truly so good that other people are often talking about you. Because that's the real goal of mystery marketing. You don't have to talk about yourself because others are doing it for you. But if they're not doing that, if they're not talking about you on a regular basis, if they're not doing that work for you, then you're probably not as mysterious or, I'm sorry to say, as good as you think. And if you're using the mysterious approach to hide behind mediocre quality work, then I'm sorry, but you're cooked, because today's clients are so much more sophisticated and they can smell that bullshit a mile away. So just accept the fact that you're going to have to talk about yourself and your work and who you are to build your reputation. You're not going to just get discovered. Just remember, when you're doing this, you're not the hero in your marketing. Your clients and the leads are the heroes. And your work and who you are, you're just the guide helping your hero succeed. So the marketing you should do, you want to make them feel like you understand their challenges. Make them see themselves in your work, or better yet, have them feel like you know something about their challenges that they don't. All right. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant. You can see what happens when I start talking about LinkedIn and what it can do to people. But if you want to go deeper on any of this subject about what clients are looking for and kind of more of where this rant is coming from, check out my podcast. It's called Crossing the Axis with James Keblas. And I have many episodes there where clients join me. These are the clients that you want. They join me to share how to win their business very specifically. And they talk about how they like to collaborate and answer questions like, is it okay to ask for referrals? So do check that out if this is interesting to you. Okay, where was I? Yes, regarding social media. Instagram is the strongest. Feeding content on TikTok and X and Facebook is good too, but probably more than you need. But if for some reason you find it easier to develop your business voice on those platforms, then go for it. The whole point here is just contribute to the conversation on a regular basis. And don't worry too much about all the noise that exists in the world. Just focus on expressing your company's work, your process, and your personality. And yes, you're right, everything has already been said. There is nothing new. But not everybody has had a chance to say it. So, all right, let's dive into these pipeline details and let's see if I can help you take your chance, okay? Thank you. Okay, so here we are in the Copper system, and we're looking at the pipelines here. And as you might notice, we're actually in the delivery pipeline, and I promised you marketing and engagement. But here's why. In the delivery pipeline, you'll have all of the stuff that you do, right? This is where you're going to make the work, and we're going to go into this pipeline a little bit later. You have all of your standard stages, contracting and billing and prep and production and post and wrapping and the billing and the internal debrief and the client debrief, which you should be doing. But you also have a stage here called marketing. And this stage here is really important for you to be thinking about a reminder to think about what was notable in what we made and find something. And just because it's not notable to you, if it just feels like mundane, everyday, basic business practice to you, explore it anyway, because oftentimes that's novel to potential clients. They don't know as much as you. And so this is your chance to express that. So don't take things for granted. Don't take what you know for granted. There's probably some really good marketing material in there. And the point here is after every project's done, your producer or someone that's ahead of the project is going to gather everybody and talk about anything that potentially is notable and worth talking about to the rest of the world. That becomes the marketing that we just talked about in the intro here. So there will be a stage here in delivery, and we'll come back to delivery later, but that's where it all starts. Once again, it's all about your work. It's all about what you do, your process, how you work. It could be specific technique. It could be outcomes and goals. It could be hitting milestones. It could be, the kind of service, personal experience, trust. There's so many things. You and your team will figure that out and talk about it. And here's a stage here to remind you about it. And when you do land on something, then you can go to the marketing pipeline. And this is what it looks like, right? So I'm in the marketing pipeline here in Copper, and it's really basic. There's nothing magical here at first glance. You have a few stages. You have your ideas, right? This is where you all came up together, or there's something else, and you just plop it here, right in the stage of ideas. That is this area right in here. So you have a bunch of ideas that are just sitting in there. You give it a card, you give it a name, and you stew on it. You think about it. And if it turns out to be a good idea, after you've had a chance to let it sit for a little bit, then you start drafting it, right? And all these stages that you have here should be stages not of what you're going to do, but what you're currently working on, or better yet, what you've already done. So here is stuff that you've drafted, or you're in the process of drafting and writing some stories, and you're just kind of moving things along, right? Just kind of dragging it over and moving it. And then moving it over to scheduled, and then getting it finally published. You can jump over and make it all the way to published. You could have an idea and move it over. You should have things that die in here. You should have things that aren't as good as you originally thought, because it means you're kind of thinking about it in a lot of ways. These are all the open projects you have. If you want to see all the projects that you've ever done, here's some that you won't do, like you took something and you dragged it down here and said won't do, because it wasn't as good as you initially thought, or for whatever reason. And then when they move over, then they're done. And this is where all of your marketing content, everything, the legacy of your work will live forever if you ever need to see all of it. And you can sort and do all of the things that we kind of showed you earlier when I explained Copper. But if you just want to see, the stuff that is open and that you're working on, you just click the filters here. And if you want to see stuff that just maybe I'm working on, if you are working on, you could sort it by just your projects, or if you have a team member, you could sort it on just their projects, or they could see just their projects. And there's just as many ways as you can imagine to filter this stuff and see things really at a glance and really fast, so you're not always stuck in this kind of barrage of all of this activity. Just see what you need to see. Okay, nothing special here. This is standard equipment for CRM work and things like that. What is special here, though, is the tie between marketing and your engagement. So when I'm here and I'm looking at the card details of this marketing campaign, right? So this is something I made all these things up here, right? Cinematic techniques that we love. If that was something that came from a project that you did, or something you just wanted to talk about anyway, great. The reason that you might have thought about that is because you recognized a client, a potential client, a lead somewhere out in the industry doing something, and you thought you might be able to help them. And this is a story that you think would be nice to serve up to them in some way. And it's such targeted marketing, and that's what this whole marketing thing is all about. It's targeted marketing, marketing for specific people. And like I said a couple episodes ago, sometimes the work will decide the target that you're going after, but sometimes the target you're going after will decide the marketing that you do. It can go either way. But the most important part here is that you have the people listed here. So you have the campaign, and then you have the targets that you're going after, and they're here. And you can have a description and all this kind of other stuff that you might want to do. And every single one of these are tied to people. You might have marketing that works for 2 different people. Everything will be in here, and you're really, really being specific. And then the way it works is if you, let's say, we're going to cinematic techniques that we love, and we have Gwilym Lee. If we go to engagement, we should see Gwilym Lee over here that did some, that we have in the engagement pipeline as a potential lead that we're targeting, right? And in Gwilym's card here in the engagement pipeline, you'll see the story, cinema techniques that we love. That was in the marketing, cinema techniques we love with Gwilym. And then engagement, we have Gwilym listed as the card, and then the marketing we have there. So, and this could be true for, all of these people. All of these people should have something that you're going to be sharing with them. And the thing that you're going to do with this is you're kind of going to, I have this custom field that I have here that's really, really important to incorporate into your process of engaging people you don't know. And remember, your engagement pipeline is people that you don't know. You have some belief that you think you might be a good fit for them. You put them in here as this potential fit, but you don't know them, and they certainly don't know you. And if they maybe know you in some way, they don't know you in your current role. So you need to explain that. So this whole pipeline here is about developing a relationship, getting in front of them, having them see stuff, adding value, and having to some kind of way to see if they will engage you back. And if they engage you back, then you're developing a relationship. And at some point, if it's going well, you're going to ask the question, do you want to get together for a conversation? If they say yes, then that is success. So all of these people are just going to go through all of these stages here, right? And when they get to the end, if they win, you're just going to mark it 1. And when you mark it 1 is when you're going to graduate them to the next stage, which may be, like I said before, perfect timing, perfect need, everything, the budget, everything is perfect, and they have a job and you get to go right into the sales pipeline. Probably not going to happen most of the time. Most of the time it's, oh yeah, I really like your guys' work. It seems like a good fit. We don't have anything right now. And then they're going to move into the development pipeline. That's a completely different stage, and we're going to talk about that next. But for here, this is how the marketing and engagement processes work together and how all of these cards are connected to one another. So when you're looking at stuff on the engagement pipeline, you'll have this engagement strategy. Like I said, is this custom field that I created that you should have in here. And when you're thinking about somebody that you might be able to help, you're researching them, you're thinking about them, you're thinking about how you might help them and what you can share that might be valuable to them. So it may be for here, trade insights on where we get where ideas really come from. That's an overall concept. And then specifically, you've created a marketing post of some kind. It could be a video, it could be something on LinkedIn, it could be something on Instagram, it could be something on your website. You could do, maybe you created a special landing page just for them and you're sending them a link over or something, or you're going to send them a link over. Whatever that marketing is that's really targeted toward this person is going to fall within this engagement strategy that you think will bring them along. The reason having a field like this, the engagement strategy field, is really important is because to answer it requires that you do research, that you get to know these people, that you understand their challenges, who they are, where they sit in their company, what are the company goals, what are the objectives. Do the research, get on AI, get on LinkedIn, do some, like sleuthing around with people that they may know, ask questions. Dig deep into these people. And once again, it's not the brand that's the client, it's the person that's the client. So most of your research is around the person and then along with them and what their responsibilities are with the brand. But you're really focusing on the person. That's why these are all people here and not companies. They're tied to companies, but they're the people that you're focusing on. So that is how the marketing and engagement pipelines work together. And for the engagement one here, you're going to have them as potential fit. You're going to move Chloe here, for instance, over. You're going to do some research. You're going to connect on social. So wherever they are, you're going to follow them. You're going to like them. You're going to ask for a connection if it's LinkedIn, for instance. And by the way, doing that work is really, really important because, first of all, when you get on their socials, you can see more information about them. But also, oftentimes nobody can see what you're sharing, or you can't communicate with people unless there's a connection of some kind. So just getting on socials and connecting with them and then having to accept that and having, a bridge between you two is a big win right there. Because once you have that, then you can start talking to them, you can start sharing with them. You can always do email too, and there's a good reason to do email first and social second, or social first and email second. But this is a really important step, just to connect on socials. And then after you've connected, you've made that establishment, you put that together, then you start engaging. So this is where you might really kind of be leaning into your strategy and thinking about what you might be sharing with them. You might want to then share this, see that they've done something, put it in the context of what you see them going through, and then share this post with them, share this article or share this landing page, whatever it is that you made, and say, hey, Chloe, I know that you're working on this, and I thought it would be really interesting. I think it would be really interesting to take this approach to it. This is how we do it, and I thought it might be interesting to you. Here you go. And you just share that. You don't ask for a meeting. You don't ask for a job. You're just offering something that shows you've thought about them. You've given it a considerable amount of consideration, and you are offering some solution that makes them better at their job and better at what they do, served from you. Most of the time, you will get something back that says, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll give it a look. And then in a couple of weeks, you could check in. Hey, did you ever see that article? Curious what you thought on it. Or a lot of times you'll get something back that says, oh, this is super interesting. How did you make this happen? Or they'll ask more questions. That's what you're looking for. You're engaging. That's what the stage is called, engaging, because you're trying to get them to engage you back. And when you engage back, you can start to develop a relationship. And then if the relationship is starting to get interesting, you could say, well, if you like that, then we'd love to show you how the sausage is made, and walk you through our process and how we make some of this stuff, or explain a little bit more of the thing that you just shared. Do you want to get together for a meeting? You can't ask for a job. You can't ask for anything until you've gotten to know people, because you don't even know if they're a right fit for you, and they don't know if you're a right fit for them. So don't assume anything. There should be no money talked about here. This is just about developing a relationship, and it's all based on the marketing that you had, which is based on the work that you did most of the time. So delivery informs the marketing. The marketing is targeted toward the people you want to engage, and then here you are. So you're going to ask for a meeting. They're going to love you, right? So they're going to say, yes, let's get together and talk. And at that point, you just mark it one. And you can hang your hat on a good job, moving them along, and being able to take them through an engagement process, and having the courage. But it doesn't take courage, because if you're doing this right, it's actually really smart. It's not something that you're asking them for a favor or doing something that is like some great benefit, to you. It's a benefit to them, because you've thought about what they're doing, and you've thought about how you can help them move them along. This is a transaction, and both sides are getting fair value out of this. And that should be your whole mindset approach. And that's why this engagement process is so important, to establish that. And if you don't do that work, it just sounds like spam. It sounds like you just want clients for the money. You haven't really considered what they're going through and what they need and how it fits to you. And most of the time, you're just going to get buried in you're busy, but you're not getting anywhere with it. And it's a waste of time. So anyway, market one, feel really good about it. Keep them as a lead. You haven't closed the deal yet. Mark today's date is closed. It's probably going to go into the development pipeline. So we're going to copy that over here. So we have Jazz Pitcairn that we're going to turn into a new opportunity. And you'll see here, Jazz Pitcairn, a copy, and I'll leave that copy in the title there. Still a lead, because he hasn't given us any money, and it's a brand and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to go through the development pipeline, and it's going to land into the stage of strategy needed. We're going to get into that later, but you now have a one opportunity here. And in this engagement pipeline, if you want to see all of the opportunities that you won, you just click all opportunities, and you can see all of it here. You can see your lost opportunities, and you should have a lot of those too. It means you're asking for meetings, and sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. Sometimes you may lose it here. Sometimes you may lose it here when you share something and they go, oh, that's actually not what we do. We're not really interested in that. Great, you found that out early. And you didn't even have to go to the next step of asking for a meeting. Or you abandon them because they've ghosted you or they've never connected back. Fine, there's a lot of leads out there. Keep going. This pipeline should be full of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that you've been engaging with. And there should be lots of wins, there should be lots of losses, there should be abandons, and then there should be open ones. And you can easily see all of those here, right? So just click right here and see open opportunities, and then you can just narrow it down. If you have a whole bunch of people doing sales, and you should, then you can have all the filters here that you would make custom. And if, say, Corey only wants to see Corey's open leads, they could just focus on theirs. I just want to see my open leads. I could just focus on mine. I want to see how many leads Corey's won this year or something like that. I can look here. I want to see the ones that Corey's lost. I can see here. And this is where all this information lies in perpetuity, forever. All of this information, the legacy information's here. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but everything is here in the card. It's saved there. All the relationships, anything that we've done with Bailey is going to show up here. I can see all the related. Everything is connected. I can see all of our communications with Bailey. Nothing ever goes away, and we can always continue to do it. See where the relationship has come from and where we can take it. So this is how the marketing and engagement pipelines work together and why they're so important, and how when you're creating your CRM like this, you make everything work together. There's a little bit of custom work that's going in here to make these things happen. I'm not going to get into the behind the scenes automations that make this all work, but just know that it's pretty straightforward to make all of these things and have it be this kind of targeted marketing, which is the best kind of marketing. Marketing that is relevant to the people you're trying to get it to, and trying to get them to engage back and get them to see it and want to know more about you. And then you ask for a meeting. And it's all about answering that question, the strategy question about what is it about these people, which means you have to think about them, which means you have to do marketing for them, which means it comes from the work that you've done, and it's all connected. And the cards are relating to one another, and all of the work is done with incredible intent. And just a little bit of sophistication and accountability. If things start sitting here for a long time and they start going dead, and by the way, you can customize all of these cards to have information that you might want on there, how long things have been sitting, in a pipeline, for instance. I'm looking at the board, the company I could add, this would be a good one, like days in the stage. So now I can see how long these things have been sitting here. Or you could put markers on here that shows when they're getting stale, and it'll give you a little arrow going down. So there's a lot more to this than what I'm just showing you, but the point is you can have a whole system here that really keeps things accountable, creating reports on this, and we'll talk about reports a little bit later. But the last thing that I'll say here is, not only is this is Copper and the way I put this whole thing together really good for doing business development, it's also really good for project management for anything that you're doing. And so what you'll see here on these cards, whether it's on the marketing or the engagement cards, is these little numbers here. These are the tasks that are associated with these cards. And every single card that you have in every single pipeline should have tasks on there that need to get done in order to move these cards to the next stage. And if they don't have any tasks on them to move them to the next stage, then you're not serious about this. You're not really trying, you're not really making attempts, you don't really know, you're just kind of sitting and waiting and hoping. Do things that move things along to the next stage. Every card, this is what I'm talking about with intent. Every card needs to have something on there that is going to be a task that someone's going to do that is going to move that to the next stage. Sometimes it's really simple stuff, like in this one. This is going to be like interview the DP about favorite camera moments for this one about techniques. And if you get it done, you could just check it off. Or collect frame grabs, whatever it needs to move this to the next stage of drafting. So it's just very project-oriented stuff, right? And this keeps all the projects. You can assign all these. It's super easy to make a new one. I can just show you here. Boom, make another one. And I could assign this, I could put dates on it, I could get into the more details of the whole thing. I could, I could add subtasks to this whole thing. So this becomes a very powerful kind of project oriented tool as well, but it's all in service of growing the business and keeping clients going. Even the project stuff here is in support of all that, and everything has a task on it to move it forward. So if you're going into engagement, for instance, and you see all these tasks here, like this one might have a whole bunch. It's like research the company's recent advertising and content campaigns, identify what production companies they've worked with before, right? These are real things that you need to learn, or someone does, that needs to figure out how to move it from a potential fit to someone, we actually are going to pursue. And you can just slowly get through these things. And when you are getting together with your whole team, you don't create a separate agenda for sales and marketing or BizDev or whatever you call it. You just open up Copper and you just look at these and you say, okay, where are we at with these? And if somebody says, oh, we need to do that, then you write it down at a task right there, live. There's no do it later. There's no separate agenda. Everything's here because this is what everyone can see, from your kind of sales and marketing and business leads to the heads of production, to your producers, to your delivery. And everyone is seeing the same thing, the whole journey of what these things have. So that's the system for marketing and engagement and how you make this whole thing work. There's a lot of little details in here I could show you, but I feel like just seeing this framework is the most important part, and how you kind of put this together. You can fine tune it, tailor it a little bit more to the things that you like. This is a framework that I've seen that I've tailored in over time. I've seen it work quite a bit. So I suggest you start here, but you certainly can do things to make it on your own. I also try to have as few stages as possible, but also making the stages really clear and succinct about what needs to get done in those things. And once again, it's about things that have been done, not things that you're going to do, which is what you can see here. And anytime you've done it, you just simply move them over and then move them over and then hopefully win, right? And then move them to the right pipeline. It could be sales if you landed that, or it could go back into, development, and then you're developing it in that way. And like I said, we'll talk about that. And I think earlier I had moved a record to the development pipeline. So let's go there and see. Oh, there it is. There's Jazz right there, the one that we just made when we won the deal in engagement. We just copied it over to the development pipeline. Now, this is a new card for a new pipeline with a different set of tools and skills that you're going to be using to then turn this developing relationship into a job. And we're going to get more into it, but this is where it really starts to get interesting. This is the account management stuff. This is really the important stuff that we'll talk about here in the next episode, that really take someone from being a potential kind of client to understanding them. You've talked to them. Everything in this pipeline here is about people you've now met and know you. And you can answer some really important questions about that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so excited about it. That's it for the marketing engagement. I hope that covers enough details for you. If you have more questions, put them down in the comments, reach out to me, whatever you want. If you have thoughts or you have ways to do this better, I'd like to hear that too. But okay, there you go. Marketing and engagement, getting to know people that you don't know in a very targeted way with lots of intent. Get that conversation going, have that meeting, and learn. Okay, that's it for now. Good luck.